The death toll now stands at three, and that includes, there was a little confusion about the age of the youngest victim. The latest Japanese media reports say that she's an 11-year-old, a pupil at a nearby elementary school. One of the other victims is a man in his late 30s. And we now also know, according to the police, that the alleged attacker is also among the dead after he carried out this indiscriminate stabbing as the children were boarding a bus outside a railway station in Kawasaki, just south of Tokyo. He then fled the scene, and as he was leaving, he stopped and stabbed himself in the neck and later died of his injuries in hospital. Donald Trump, the US president, who ended his 4-day state visit to Japan today, said that he wanted to offer his prayers and sympathy to the victims and their families just before he left Japan. And in the last few hours, the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has talked about this harrowing incident, about his anger at what happened. And he went on to say that he'd ordered the Education Ministry to ensure that children in Japan are safe when they're traveling to and from school, because it's very rare in this country for children to be dropped off outside school by their parents in cars. Many children either take buses or indeed, children as young as 5 or 6 will use public transport on their own.
Justin, as you say, Japan really does have a reputation for being a safe society. Have there been any incidents as dramatic as this one there before?
There have. I can recall 3 or 4 in the last 20 years. I mean, it's important to point out that gun crime in Japan is extremely rare, and that's because Japan enforces very strict gun control laws. I think, according to the National Police Agency, only 3 people died in shooting incidents in Japan in 2017, and I think there have been fewer than 50 deaths from gun crime in Japan in the last 8 years. But these indiscriminate attacks, mass attacks, do occasionally happen, and when they happen, they invariably involve the use of knives or swords. I can think of the worst. I think one of the worst post-war stabbings in Japan occurred just a couple of years ago, just south of Tokyo, when a man broke into a residential facility for people with mental disabilities and stabbed 19 of them to death. There have also been similar incidents, including at a school in 2001 and 2008. Of course, there's widespread shock at what has happened, particularly because that many of the victims, most of the injured victims are children, and the fact that the suspect is now dead and will never be brought to justice. But Japan does deserve its reputation as one of the safest societies in the world.